Hey guys, so the other day I was minding my business, then I got a notification on my email from a client. I'll just pop it in here where he said, "This is gas." And I wasn't sure what he meant by gas, but if Peter comments on something, I gotta pay attention. He's an agency owner doing multiple six figures, almost $500,000 a year or more. Let me know, correct me, Peter, if I'm not sure. I don't know how much money you're making nowadays, but I commented on this group call that one of our clients hosted. Right, his name is Chris, and Chris went over the key to increasing client retention. Client retention is probably one of the most important things that you need to master if you're running a business. If you're good at client acquisition but you can't actually retain your clients, then there's no point in actually running a business. Okay. He went over that, and he also went over how to actually increase clients from, how to increase how much clients pay you. So how to take an account from 5K a month up to 25K per month, and how to get your clients to send you more referrals. I think this was an amazing training, and I hope you find it beneficial, find it helpful, and watch it. I got more bangers to come. You guys just let me know when you want me to stop, because I think I can't stop, but I'm gonna keep dropping them. Bye bye. Enjoy.
So what we'll go through today is, first of all, the agenda that we're going to go through is I'm going to briefly, like in a few minutes, just introduce myself and what I learned working with some of the biggest agencies in the e-com space to actually develop client accounts and make more from existing clients while actually increasing their retention and upselling them and cross-selling them on projects that cost anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000. And I'm going to cover some aspects like why most agencies fail to actually retain clients for the long term and how they're really disposable. And then I'm going to focus on the aspect on how you can do what you can do right now to grow your clients' accounts fast and eventually position yourself in that stage where you can get equity in clients' businesses. And afterwards, we're going to have a short Q&A. If anyone has any questions about the process and similar. So let's get started. Like the first thing I just want to mention on this call, and the actual thing, the goal of this call is I want to open your horizons and widen your horizons to actually show you that the dollars are actually in front of you. Like a lot of times, most agencies are stuck in the hamster wheel of constantly chasing new clients, but not doing enough to retain their existing clients. And it's really, it's fine because it's what all the gurus are teaching and everything, and you don't see these things unless you get to the higher levels, which is exactly where I learned from. And in the end, if you don't do these things, like most of the time clients leave after a few months, even if you get them the most amazing results in the world, they still end up dropping or they taking things in-house. And really, most agencies don't know what to do about client experience. Most agencies see it, and most owners, as the only thing that you need to do to retain a client is to give them amazing results and end up chasing new business all the time. So what I'm going to focus right now today is how you can actually, because existing clients are 3 times as easier to sell to in the first place. And I'm going to show you how to, first of all, get 2 new clients, how to get more referrals. So at least 2 referrals from each client that you currently have, and triple the retention more or less, and at least double the project size that you're currently working on while you're still working on those clients. But right now, I just want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself, like, how much it costs you to lose a client in the first place. Because this is something that most agencies and most owners don't think about. What does it cost you? How much in terms of time? How much in terms of money it costs you to lose a client? So keep that in mind, and I'll walk you quickly to how I discovered this. So back when I started my online journey, I was really aiming to work with agencies more or less as a contractor. And at the time I was addicted to weed. So I was fortunate enough to start my journey working with some of the top brands in the space. So compared to most agency owners, I started working at the top and then build my way down. But I wasn't happy. So I wasn't happy. And eventually I was looking for that thing that is going to get me excited to wake up every day. So I took all my savings that I made in the first 2, 3 years working with some of the big agencies. this is my first day starting a SaaS company, and I actually made an 8-figure mistake and made me go bankrupt a few months later. And the moment I went bankrupt with the SaaS is the moment I realized that there is something that gets me excited, even though I couldn't explain it at the time. It was really giving value to the customers and really giving value to people all the time, regardless of how they act with you and all of that. So eventually from there, my life expanded. I went back into art again, which I was really big on in my early years, improved my relationship with my family quite a lot, and pretty much spent every single dollar that I made on personal education. So I literally spent around 100K on personal education. But the things that I'm going to show you right now is not the things that I learned from the people that made tens of millions, but from the people, from my mentors like Jay Abraham and Roland Fraser, that made tens of billions. And this is exactly what they're doing. So just going to quickly mention about some case studies that we're using this process so you know that it actually works. And then I'm going to go and show you the actual process and give you the exact steps you can take right now. So for example, Isan Consulting, this is the first agency where we implemented this process. They went from low 6 figures to actually the largest health and wellness CRO agency in Canada by implementing this. And the most important aspect is that they went from selling 5K projects to selling 25K projects at a much higher margin. And then there's Will from Reason Agency, who has over 60 million in sales already for clients. And using this process, and you'll see how you can implement it for your agency as well, he actually opened another profit center within his agency that brought him 6 figures in additional profit every year. So hands off, completely free. And Adil, who also went from 6K projects to 60K projects within less than a year. So that was quite a jump over there. But eventually, let's get started with the actual thing. And why most agencies fail to actually develop client accounts is, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this training, is because they see things in a very common man way. So I love using the story of the case of the missing boxers to explain this. It's a story used by my mentor, Jay Abraham. So it's practically this cartoon where this kid gets like insomnia and he starts tripping out in the middle of the night. He thinks that little gnomes go into his room and actually steal his boxers. So one day he tells his friends, and they go in there and they find the gnomes, that they're actually real. And they ask them what you're doing with those boxers, like why are you stealing our friends' boxers? And their answer is what most agencies will answer is, first of all, steal boxers, and third step is profit. There's no second step, there's nothing like that. And most agencies see client development like this. Like if you deliver an amazing service, clients are gonna buy more and they're gonna stay for longer. But there's nothing in between over there, which is what we're going to focus on right now. So the first mindset shift to actually understand this process and to start implementing this process in your agency and in your life is to clearly communicate once you sign a client, you're not just trying to sell them, but you want to serve them and to give them the best possible service that there is. Because you have to understand that no longer they are clients. You become their trusted advisor, and you actually hear and help them understand and gain clarity on what exactly they want to do in the first place. So you give them clarity, you help them then achieve those goals, and in the end, you become the genius and not the help. And most agencies right now are positioned as the help. They help you get from X to Y, which is amazing on marketing terms. Like on the front end, that's absolutely how it works. But on the back end, you have to be positioned as the genius if you want to get equity in client businesses and eventually become irreplaceable down the line. And there's really 3 pillars that over the years I've developed with my mentors and implemented for these agencies that ensure that you're going to get drastic account growth and position yourself in getting equity in those businesses. Like first of all is helping them see the big picture. Then you have to focus on innovation rather than constant optimization. And third of all is you start cross-selling and upgrading the account. And I'm going to walk you through those pillars right now and what you can do over there. So the real focus, that the real flow chart that you have to do is, first of all, you really deeply understand their business and their life. Like what most agencies do, and it's completely fine. It's actually amazing that most agencies do that, because a lot of gurus say that as well, is to understand the business on a new level, on a deeper level. But if you want to really make friends with your clients in the sense of that they keep coming back and keep sending you business, you have to understand how that impacts your life as well and clearly communicate it with them in the first place. And this allows you to generate additional profits just by pointing out things out in their business from what they currently have. So then you can upsell and cross-sell them without many objections. So you become irreplaceable, and then you get equity in clients' businesses. And the process, and it's quite simplified over here that I'm going to walk you through because it's over 360 slides that I've developed. First of all, on new or actual old clients, it's actually really good to do it even on the onboarding call, as a lot of these agencies are doing it. You create an asset inventory of the clients. So, and I'm talking like, for example, this might not work for tiny accounts. It's just not worth the effort. But if you're working with clients and you are charging 5 to 10K a month, or even 3K and above, it is very well worth doing something like this. So the asset inventory is really all the connections that they have. So you ask them, actually, you just ask them and help understand on a deeper level, what are the relationships and the connections that they currently have within the industry in the first place? What are all the marketing assets that they currently leverage? What has worked in the past? What hasn't worked in the past? What are the capital assets that they have at their disposal? Maybe they have connections with other businesses. Maybe it's the employees, and maybe they have additional funding that they can implement in certain aspects of the business. So you need to understand a full picture and get a full picture of that. And finally, you help understand their skills, because most business owners, regardless of the level they're at, there are things that they really don't want to do, but things that they are exceptionally good at. So really mapping these things out and having a full map of how everything goes will help you understand what are the gaps in the business that you can fill up. And I've seen it working really well. For example, when I was working with a portfolio in the psychedelic space, we built out asset and growth maps. So what are all the connections and all the assets a business has and the employees have, and how you can connect it so you can make more from what you currently have? What are they under leveraging and what they can do more of without really putting in more money or actually putting in more work, just by seeing the obvious and connecting the obvious dots, because most people don't look at the obvious dots. So that's really the first step. Once you have this map of all the assets and all the gaps and everything, you really start identifying the gaps and what is their desired situation, and you start filling up those gaps. And when you have a good understanding of these assets, and I'm going to give you some examples right now, you really know what are the strengths that some agencies can do and what are the additional profits that they can generate from what they currently have. For example, let me give you some examples over here, like GT Pro Media, which is right now eSound Consulting that you saw. They had an exceptionally good offer creation process for e-commerce agencies. So what I helped them do over there with the founder, of course, is package that and first understand the value of that and package that and license that to other agencies, which turned out to be a new $75,000 offer, which is not marketed on the front end, but it was selling the operations and the processes and the systems. In personal example, right now, some assets that I have within my life and business. For example, I have an A-list AI copywriter team that literally they deliver as A-list copywriters, but they have a lot of free time. So sometimes I connect agencies to them just to keep up and to fill up their calendar in the first place. And the account development services, which I'm still considering whether to offer it or not, but it is something that could very well be a licensing option on down the line. So eventually, once you identify these gaps, you start asking yourself, what are the levers you can use to fill the gaps? And the levers are actually, you notice those levers by asking yourself how you can 10x or 100x that business, that client's business, in the same time with the same resources. Most of the time, this answer is usually you go and partner with media, you go and partner with other brands, but it's services that they usually won't buy on the front end, and you can demand equity. You can demand actual percentage on that. Like if you partner with them with a distribution channel that has their target audience and they promote their products there, you can demand a percentage of each campaign that you do, and usually it's quite sizable. I've done that in the past, and so I'm going to show you how you actually open up new projects in a second. But first thing is to understand, like to really upsell and cross-sell client accounts, to give them that clarity through this advisory process that you literally, first of all, you do this on one-on-one calls. You focus mostly on innovation. So optimization usually yields linear growth, but innovation yields exponential growth. So you help them understand what they can innovate within their business, what can they add, and then you help them optimize. And that optimization aspect is where a lot of high-ticket projects are being opened. So the innovation gets done on the advisory sessions that you have, and that you have once a month, more or less. You meet one-on-one with the client for 60 to 90 minutes, just discussing their current challenges and discussing the big vision, the big picture, and you show them how you can get there, and then you upsell them on the actual things, the actual steps to get there. So, for example, this is an example that I really love because it's very common. Most people want to get more customers. So, but you have to understand the why behind that, and you help them and you communicate the why they want more customers, because why they want more customers is usually because they need more revenue, because they need more profit. So all of a sudden, this can alone open 6 to 10 additional projects. So one of them could be CRO, like optimizing the average order value, creating landing pages, email marketing, lifetime customer value optimization, et cetera, really operational stuff, which is margins and stuff like that. And you don't have to provide these services by yourself. You can, of course, partner with someone and get a commission, but remember that you're serving your client. And after all, it's really focusing, for example, if they really need more customers and they want more leads, is finding those high leverage channels that they can use, as I mentioned, partnerships, and using other people's audiences compared to just running paid ads. So it's not like you stop doing what you're currently doing, but you add these things on top because they are high leveraged opportunities. And in the end, you start upselling and cross-selling. So once you have these big maps and you really understand how the business interacts, what are the assets within the business, and what is the growth map, and what is the innovation that you're bringing in the business, you start becoming the genius, understand the big picture, and you further help the founders develop the picture furthermore. And you can upsell and cross-sell on those advisory sessions each month. Because from this, you can justify that if you implement a specific innovation, there's going to be a large extra budget opened. Like a simple example that I love doing for e-commerce stores, for example, when I work with them as a consultant or advisor, the first thing that you can do for e-commerce stores to bring them more revenue is to actually show them the value of serving their customers better. So if it's a weight loss supplement, chances are their customers are also looking for weight loss programs, and they're going to buy them anyways. So what you do over there is you make a partnership with a weight loss coach that usually sells a high ticket program. Let's say it's a $2,000 that has pretty much no production cost for him. So you can easily negotiate a 50-50 split because you're bringing them all these leads to them. You're practically doing all the marketing for them. And you can further negotiate that you get a cut of that by yourself. But consider this, like if you bring this to a client, let's say they have 10,000 or 10,000 customers more or less, and just 1% of them buy this program. So that's on $1,000 commission. 1% is, what is it? It's like 100 customers. So practically you just open a new profit center for them and an additional $100,000 in profit that then they can reinvest into you. So is this things and seeing the actual obvious things, and then you can start, if you want to bring things in-house, as Zachary mentioned on the call earlier, is you can start implementing things in-house or simply white labeling and partnering with others to further serve them better. And this is where I'm going to go back to the beginning of the call when I said most clients will drop out even if you bring them amazing results. And this is especially true for paid ads. Like usually the stick-through rate for paid ads is 3 to 4 months. And that stick-through rate is very hard to extend because the client business evolves. Like they don't want to stay with you all the time. They need some other kind of help after 3 or 4 months. They want to bring things in-house. So why not help bring and give those systems to them and charge a premium from that rather than just losing them as a client? So this is how you develop the client account. So if you sell paid ads and then 3 or 4 months later, you optimize everything for them, before they even drop, you actually tell them, let me help you bring this in-house. Like it's going to increase the valuation of your brand. It's going to make it more attractive for investors, blah, blah, blah. And you can easily charge for 25 to 50K package for this. And I know it because all of these agencies, all the big agencies are actually doing it in the first place. And you can get as creative as you want with this. And finally, the final thing I want to mention in this over here is when you position yourself as the genius by doing these things, by understanding the big picture for them and giving them aspects where they can innovate in their business and make a lot more from what they currently have, you're in a very well position to actually ask for equity in clients' businesses.
Hey, real quick, before you finish watching this video, just wanted to let you know that I have something pretty special for you. If you're currently struggling with your offer, maybe you're facing resistance within your sales calls, or you're struggling to book enough sales calls on your calendar to be able to scale past 50K to 100K a month profit, or maybe you're not really a great closer, or you're struggling to scale your fulfillment and that's the reason why you can't scale, I'll leave a training down below where I actually broke down everything we did to help 5 agencies add an extra combined 300K a month in monthly recurring revenue in just 90 days. Okay, I broke everything down and this is probably one of the best trainings that I've ever released. If you want to check it out, click the link below and get it. Again, I'll let you enjoy your video. Bye.
And I have used this exact process in the past to get equity in 2 clients' businesses, 20% equity in the past, which is advisory equity. So it doesn't mean that you do everything free for them after that. They're still paying, maybe at a discount, but they're still paying and you get your costs covered, but you get advisory equity to actually help them with the big level thinking, with the big connections and with the exponential growth. Because you're bringing so much to the table and they don't want to lose you at this stage because you're not a commodity agency anywhere. If you're selling TikTok ads, they cannot just go to another agency and expect that they're going to get the same level of clarity and the same level of service that they're going to get with you. They just don't have that level of expertise to show them that they can achieve that kind of exponential growth and really help them clarify the vision that they currently have. And like GT Pro Media got actual advisor equity in 8 client businesses on top of getting paid their high fees, on top of scaling client accounts from 5K to 25K, for example. And really, that as simple as it sounds, that's the actual process. Like as simple as it sounds, but it's really up to you because most agencies don't take actions on things like this. They don't go the extra step to really understand not just the day-to-day stuff of their client's business, but actually understand the big picture and where are they actually striving and help them build out that picture with themselves. Because that's how you can increase the 3x to 5x what you're making per client, and even ask for equity in clients' businesses on top of getting paid? Or is the definition of getting stuck in the client chase hamster wheel if you don't do something like this, if you don't go the extra mile and actually become a trusted advisor for our clients in the first place? And really, one thing that I want to leave you today with is I want to ask yourself, like, when you go and talk to your clients next time, in what ways can you exponentially multiply your opportunities and their opportunities and success using this strategy of becoming a trusted advisor and focusing on the big picture and the long term, as well as executing on the short term. So yeah, that's would be the short presentation. And as simple as it sounds, that's literally all it takes to scale client accounts. I'm gonna stop there, and if there are any questions, please go ahead.
That's actually good. Better than what I thought.
That's
Me
good.
personally, I don't have any questions. Not sure if any over here got any questions. Even if we have the same questions, not necessarily for the e-com side of it, go ahead and ask your questions. Zachary, you're muted. Do you have anything?
Yeah, sorry, no, I was making a personal comment, but this is amazing. Thank you so much, Chris. Definitely opened my mind and definitely is my goal moving forward. And then it's just like my personal experience. So it's like, as I build my team, you know, that also affects and helps us trying to scale their brand. Because it's like if they have better insights, either from the media buyer or creative director or something, you know, that comes into play. So me personally, it's like, I can only offer so much. As I go, I'll learn more, but then also as I build the team, it's like, oh, I could then realize and conceptualize, like, how can we do even more for these clients? And I like how there was one part that said, like, how can you do more with the resources you have now? So it's like, even though my team gets paid X amount or whatever, if they're part of the vision and whatnot, you know, we can all exceed standards a little bit and then ultimately have that one client pay us more, stay on forever, etc. One like quick question, I guess, would be like, when you go to build it all in-house for the client, are you then managing their in-house team to then get paid long-term, or kind of how does that structure work to get paid and equity?
So that's a good question. So, excuse me. Eventually, when it goes to build out those processes, what we've done when I was part of these big agencies, most of the time they don't really manage their team, but they work on a consulting basis with their team. So they charge a premium, and their team is usually the one building out the processes, but they're the one, the agency is the one giving them the guidelines. Because
Okay,
another
right.
thing over here, and I've seen people try it in the past, like doing it full implementation for them. That works as well. But the thing is, I've seen it working very well when it's a hybrid. Because you have to remember that you're building these systems, these processes for their team in the first place, and they're going to be the ones using it. So I've seen it working much better when you go in a consulting basis and helping them build out the systems and giving them everything they need, but they're actually part of the process as well.
Makes
And
sense.
what was your second part of the question?
How you actually, or yeah, just how that fee is built out, like what my work is to build out systems for them. And then obviously, yeah, cool, consult them on how to optimize that system. And that's a weekly or monthly thing. But then, yeah, where does that pay go in? So it's like, I'll get you that premium to build out this system, but is that a one-time fee? And then moving forward, it's just equity, or?
So actually, building out the systems, it's usually how they do it is a one-time fee. Like how we did it with these agencies is a one-time fee. And moving forward, it can be like if they want you to stay as an advisor and actually help them with the big vision and accomplish that big vision, you get in equity, and it's phantom equity. So it has to be phantom equity. So you're not directly liable if they make a big screw up somewhere. So you're not, and you don't end up in court or anywhere. It's phantom equity shares that you get paid out only when there is a sale of the business, or they can buy you out. And how that advisory share is structured is practically, you can demand anywhere from 5 to 25%. I've seen that range working really well. You have a base pay for example, if it's a 7-figure business and it's not worth it that much to ask for equity in businesses that are making less than $500,000. But if it's a 7-figure business and let's say you get 10% equity, which is $100K, how you justify that is my advice, like you position, because you're already positioned as the genius. Like moving forward, you start charging an advisory fee and you tell them, look, for example, it's going to cost $50K for 1 year or $100K for 1 year to really help you out, for me to help you out and to help you see and achieve that exponential growth from what you currently have. We can do a base pay of, let's say, $1,000 a month, where I advise you and help you and connect you with the right people. And the rest of it is paid out in equity. So you're literally positioning it as a big package, but they're getting a big discount because they're paying you in equity. They don't pay you in cash. That's been working really well in the past.
Just making a note. Awesome. That sounds like a good strat. And it makes sense for the client, you know, to like keep you on. And it's like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense. And at the end of the day, just make it sound like a benefit for the client, which it is.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good long-term focus and definitely a goal for me. That's like retention is key. I want to just retain everyone.
Yeah, it actually works, like this process. I've been using it with myself since I started, like my freelance consulting career.
Mm-hmm.
And thing is, some of the clients that I actually dropped when I moved to SaaS, I was able to reactivate them specifically because of this process. So 3 years later, I was still able to reactivate them just because of this value that you bring to them.
Nice.
So even if you're in a hard position, which I definitely was after my SaaS went bankrupt, especially these last few months, I went back to them and reactivated them and opened new projects.
Nice.
So you always, even if when you end a relationship, you don't burn the bridge. Most agencies will just burn the bridge. They just disappear. You still maintain that contact, and the thing that your focus is over here, the mindset shift that you have to do is when you have a client, your purpose is to never let them go. Even if they stop working with you, they bought from you, they trusted with you, but maybe it's not the best time right now to actually upsell them or anything. So you stop working together, but it doesn't mean that it's the end of the relationship. Keep following up with them and actually understand and send them a message from time to time. And that works wonders, which is silly because a lot of people are not doing it. They're like, okay, if someone's not paying me, there's no worth in maintaining that connection, which is just not true. I think it's mostly in the capitalistic American system and why most
Mindset,
people are programmed that way. But like I come from Eastern Europe, and that's how business is done. Like regardless if people buy from you or not, you keep up that communication. It doesn't mean that you do free work for them, obviously not, but you just stay and keep the communication.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Sweet. This is definitely some long-term focus for me, but can keep it in mind so that the steps I make now are, projected to that, so that all clients are, happy and whatnot. Like personally with my issues, we're so backlogged, but I feel like the only reason these clients are still on is because I just offer, care and consulting and, I'm kind of gluing it all together. But if I had maybe a better team with more experience, I can just easily upsell, cross-sell, lock them in for longer or bigger deals. Thank you so much, Chris. This is amazing. Hope to, I'll keep chat with you and maybe we do another, maybe you have more knowledge to share on calls someday. This is awesome.
If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'd be happy to answer them.
I had a question for you, Chris. I'm not sure if you mentioned this in the presentation, but I wasn't focusing. It's like, when would you recommend pitching that deal with them? I know that you said that the retention rate is usually 3-4 months kind of stuff, right? Especially with paid advertisements with ecom. When would you suggest pitching that idea in the first place, which is building everything in for them?
I'm not sure if I completely understood your question.
So-
There was a bit of a break off.
Let's say I'm working now with an ecom brand, and it's like
Okay.
done for you kind of stuff, right? And they're paying me like, and my team on a monthly basis. Would you say there is like a specific time frame or a timeline before you actually pitching the idea of building their in-house teams?
So far that I've noticed how it goes with the big agencies is in a big, I guess it's more or less the same with coaching and consulting as well, is noticing what is your drop and knowing your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing your internal numbers and maybe investing some money on hiring someone, even part-time, to really help you understand those numbers and how everything works. Like when do clients drop off, when things are happening, et cetera, because there are patterns in the data always, regardless of the business. So for paid ads, I can say quite comfortably that it's usually around the 4-month mark.
Mm-hmm.
And introducing that aspect, because you have to remember that you have a monthly advisory session. So you start slowly introducing that idea to them. You don't just blatantly pitch them. So you introduce it throughout the months, you practically prepare them, and you develop the idea with them, which is what people call the IKEA effect and stuff like that. You develop the idea with them. So then it's practically, they know that's the next step.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So it's not a pitch. It's introducing setting the tone for the approach on how you're gonna do business together, like moving forward. And and that's like 4 months if everything is working for them, right? Like if you're delivering like an amazing result. Cool. Makes sense. Perfect. Anyone got any more questions for Chris? Amazing. Chris, is there anything that you want to share?
No, I think I'd leave it at that note. Just ask for everyone that was listening to actually think about your current clients. Think about and even make a list, an actual written list, not a mental one, of what are the challenges that they mentioned in the past that they're facing with. It can be even personal challenges because it's a good way to connect with them. And make a list of what are their challenges and what are the challenges that you think they have, that they implied throughout your sessions. If you really want to go a step further, you can go ahead and rewatch the calls you had with them. It's a lot of dedication though. So just make a list of what you think and go back to them and have a proper conversation with them and ask them how you can bring more value to their business. Build out their vision with them. It's not something like the results are not something that are going to show up overnight, most likely. It can happen if it's the right time, but it's not most likely you're gonna move from 5K to 25K LTV overnight. It might take 3, 4, 5 months, a year, but if you do it consistently, you maintain those relationships and they're not gonna go anywhere else. Even if they do, they're still gonna come back to you when the time is right because you have a strong relationship with them. Yeah, that's what I want to end with.
That's perfect, man. Amazing. Thank you. It was definitely a good call. If there is no more questions, then we'll wrap this call. If you have any questions for Chris, you can message him definitely. And we'll take it from there. One last call. Any last questions? I think that's it. Have an amazing day, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Chris, again. And see you.
Have an amazing day. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, so just wanted to take a moment to thank you for having watched this video and to remind you of something really, really important. And that is the fact that you deserve more, you deserve better. And most importantly, you owe it to yourself to be great. Okay? I want you to always remember that. Always, always, and never forget it, because it is a thing that has changed my life when I realized, or when I actually just made the decision that I deserved to be great and it was my duty to become great, because not only did my life become better, but everyone's life in my life became better. So find this helpful and keep coming back for more bangers, because I won't stop dropping them. Bye-bye.